All right, you guys, we're going to jump right into this with no introduction. There's a lot that I would like to speak with you guys about. Can't wait to hear your feedback. A lot of lies that are being put out there, narratives that I would say are half-truths or just misrepresentations entirely. And I don't really see the reason for that. First and foremost, I'll let you know, last week was not a dream. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. And he was publicly executed. I want to make that clear. Charlie Kirk was publicly executed before the world. All right, you guys, happy Monday. Erica Kirk, man, she really is just the moment. The speech that she gave, everybody was just wowed by her.
September 10th, Utah Valley University. A clear sky, a restless crowd. What began as a political rally turned in a single gunshot into the most watched tragedy of the year. Charlie Kirk, commentator, founder, lightning rod of America's conservative youth, was shot on stage before a live audience. Within seconds, the world was staring at screens, frozen between disbelief and horror. But as the echoes faded, one question began to pulse through every feed. Why did this happen? And perhaps more haunting, who really pulled the trigger? The Utah rally had all the markings of a Turning Point USA spectacle: bright lights, chanting crowds, live streamers pressed shoulder to shoulder. Charlie Kirk commanded the stage with practiced ease, cutting through the air with gestures that turned politics into theater. Then a single crack split the noise. The human brain takes half a second to register a gunshot. By the time anyone understood, panic had already begun to spread. Phones fell. People screamed. Security swarmed the stage, but the image was already immortalized. Kirk slumped sideways, a dark stain creeping across his collar. Within minutes, hashtags erupted. Utah shooting, pray for Charlie. But as information blurred into rumor, the spotlight shifted away from the victim and toward the woman standing behind the podium of grief, Erica Kirk, his wife. Erica's first public appearance came less than 24 hours later. Camera crews packed the hospital courtyard. She spoke briefly, voice composed, thanking first responders and promising that her husband's mission would continue. Her words were perfect, too perfect, some said. Her posture unshaken, her tone rehearsed. To millions, it looked like grace under pressure. To others, it looked like control under suspicion. Every blink, every tear, or lack of one became analysis fodder for a nation addicted to outrage. While most expected her to retreat into mourning, Erica stepped forward, hosting vigils, repeating her vow to carry on Charlie's work. But that calm became the seed of doubt that another voice would soon weaponize. Candace Owens had once stood beside Charlie Kirk, not behind him. She was the fiery face of Turning Point's urban outreach, a rising star whose ambition burned too bright for the organization to contain. Her departure years earlier was quiet but bitter. And now, after the gunshot in Utah, she returned to the scene not as an ally, but as an avenger. Owens' podcast surged overnight, climbing Spotify's charts as headlines branded her the truth teller, unafraid to question the official story. In her first episode, she asked what millions were thinking, but only she said out loud. How does an untrained kid scale a rooftop, execute a perfect shot, and disappear in broad daylight? Where was security? Where were the drones? And then came the line that detonated across social media. Charlie Kirk was betrayed by his pillow. She never said Erica's name. She didn't have to. In an instant, the internet divided. On one side, Erica's stoic widow preaching forgiveness and stability. On the other, Candace raging storm accusing the world of lies and cover-ups. To her millions of followers, Owens' anger felt righteous. She dissected every inconsistency, the lack of clear footage, the shattered bullet fragments, the suspect whose mugshot didn't match eyewitness accounts, and above all, the eerie speed with which officials declared the case closed. She painted a picture darker than any headline dared to print. A sniper in tactical gear, a staged scapegoat, a silence investigation under federal pressure. Candace's mantra echoed across feeds. They want you confused, because confusion kills curiosity. The more she spoke, the more the public listened. Her fury wasn't proof, but it was powerful. And in an age where emotion outpaces evidence, that was enough. Old wounds resurfaced. Former Turning Point insiders leaked stories of a silent feud between Kirk and Owens, ideological clashes, bruised egos whispered betrayals. Eric Bolling called it a silent break. Charlie stayed polite, Candace grew radical. Now that Cold War had erupted into open fire. Erica represented control, dignity, decorum, the continuation of an empire. Candace embodied chaos, emotion, vengeance, the voice of those who felt silenced. When Owens hinted that billionaires and foreign interests had reason to want Kirk gone, the storm became global. She named names: Bill Amann, a powerful donor, even Israeli officials. Screenshots, statements, denials flooded the press. Each rebuttal only deepened the suspicion. For her followers, the louder the denials, the clearer the guilt. And as right-wing podcasts scrambled to capitalize, the conservative movement began to fracture under its own paranoia. 2 weeks later, Arizona's State Farm Stadium filled with 40,000 mourners. But it didn't feel like a funeral. It felt like a rally. Under blinding lights, political heavyweights delivered eulogies that sounded more like campaign speeches. Tucker Carlson compared Kirk's death to a modern crucifixion. Others hinted that truth-tellers were being eliminated. Behind the curtain, cameras caught Candace pacing like a caged storm. When she took the mic, her tone dropped to a whisper. Be suspicious of anyone telling you to stop asking questions. Applause erupted, half in grief, half in rebellion. Online, hashtags told the story better than headlines. Justice for Charlie. Erica knows you pulled the trigger. Every new theory found an audience. Every new denial found disbelief. The tragedy had become entertainment and grief had turned into content. Inside the Kirk household, silence no longer meant peace. Relatives whispered about Erica's composure. Was it strength or strategy? Screenshots of family group chats leaked online, twisted into proof. A single video clip from a candlelight vigil went viral. Erica's hands folded neatly, not shaking. Commenters wrote, too calm. Another moment, one delayed tear labeled too fake. The widow could not win. If she cried, she was performing. If she didn't, she was hiding. Her tragedy had been stolen, dissected, monetized. Candace Owens now spoke daily. She claimed federal manipulation, manufactured suspects, and prepackaged conclusions. She insisted the FBI leaned on Utah police to frame Tyler Robinson. Her podcast became a digital courtroom. Every missing frame of footage was a new exhibit. Every unanswered question was declared a clue. Whether she believed her own words no longer mattered. She had built an empire of doubt, and the audience was feeding it. Meanwhile, Turning Point USA moved on. Bigger rallies, new faces, brighter lights. No moment of silence, only momentum. Charlie Kirk's mission hadn't died. It had been repurposed. The conservative ecosystem split like fault lines under pressure. Some sided with Candace, demanding truth no matter the cost. Others stood by Erica, calling for dignity and restraint. Glenn Beck pleaded for prayer. Joe Rogan called the rooftop shot logistically absurd. Each comment became ammunition for one side or the other. Even Capitol Hill joined the spectacle. Lawmakers invoked Kirk's name in speeches, framing him as a martyr for free speech while quietly angling for his audience. The empire he built was being picked apart by its own heirs. Grief had become currency, conspiracy, the new religion. And through it all, two women stood at opposite ends of the same flame. One silent, one screaming. One accused of hiding too much, the other of knowing too little. Weeks later, no new arrests, no new answers, only noise. Erica continues her husband's foundation, posting carefully worded updates. Candace doubles down, promising receipts soon. The internet holds its breath, waiting for a climax that may never come. In truth, the story is no longer about evidence. It's about belief. To one side, Erica Kirk is the dignified widow holding her family together. To the other, she's the silent center of a cover-up too big to name. And to millions caught in between, the question is no longer who killed Charlie Kirk. It's whose truth survives. Because in the modern age, grief isn't private, it's performed. And silence doesn't protect you, it provokes you. As the narrator fades, a final line remains. One shot ended a life, but it may have also ended an entire movement's unity. The lights fade, the comment section lights up, and the cycle begins again. What do you believe? Was Charlie Kirk silenced by enemies abroad, or betrayed by someone closer to home? Drop your theory below. Share this video. Because in this story, nothing stays buried forever.